Hosted by some of our very prominent national leaders, called together and responded to by the Reverend Sharpton of the National Action Network. To start, I'm going to ask the pastor of the church, within seconds, not minutes or an hour, within seconds responded, yes, we will be happy to have the luncheon here at New Shalom. Please greet the pastor of New Shalom Baptist Church, the Reverend Dr. Harold A. Carter, Jr.
I appreciate these good words, Senator Larry Young, and we certainly welcome all of you here, close about Mayor out here sitting. I also appreciate the presence of Reverend Sharpton and all who shared this experience that has brought us around the life of one whose life was unfortunately taken from our midst. Can't forget that all that is happening over the last few days is centered around the loss of life. So even now, we would just thank God for the memory of Freddie Gray Jr. by putting our hands together. Our thoughts and prayers ever being with his family. Our doors have been opened for the family, of course, as a result of his death and subsequent service, his funeral service. We're right here in the community of West Baltimore. And to that end, we're neighbors with the family, with all that is taking place. And as a result of that, I should also indicate that we see ourselves as being civic-minded, as being community-oriented, and therefore we cannot say no in this instance to have this kind of a time of sharing for healing and ongoing comfort in our community. As we begin today, would you be so kind as to bow your head and humble your heart as we invoke God's blessings upon our time of sharing, and thank God again for all who are on the front line of this effort and on the front line of this work. Gracious God, we enter into this time of sharing, communication, information, because we know that we need you. We need you in our lives to further make a difference. Even as this room is still right now, we believe that you can still this community, still this city. We hear the language of your Son and our Savior.
Hard and watch his vision, his growth, and his commitment to our community is a solid one. I'm going to call you, we'll call you on Radio 1, family. Family, warmly greet the Reverend Dr. Mr. Reverend Al Sharpton of the National Action Network.
Thank you, Larry Young, who chairs National Action Network in Maryland and the morning host on WOLB. To my far left is the president of the National Urban League, Mark Morial. To his right is the president of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, NAACP, Dr. Reverend Cornell Brooks. On my far right is a pastor here in Maryland and a national board member of National Action Network, Reverend Delman Coates. Next to him is Reverend West, who has been in the streets since day one here in Baltimore, since the day Gray was found dead, been leading the vigils at night, and is now organizing youth for National Action Network in Baltimore. I'm glad to have him with us, Reverend Wesley West. Reverend Yeary, who pastors here at the historic Douglas Church here in Baltimore, and is the pastor of the mayor, and of course, Larry Young. Let me say a couple of things. One, we are here because of two things. One, there is a young man that has lost his life, and we want to know why. And we want to know what. And it is connected to a series of things around the country. This is not just a Baltimore problem.
Right.
It is Garner case in New York. Eric Garner's mother's here this morning. Stand up, Miss Gwen Carter. And stand up. Pastor Victor Brown is here. It is from Staten Island to Ferguson to North Charleston to Tulsa to here. And we've been involved in all of them. And we are trying to act as though these are problems that you can handle in isolation. There must be a national response to a national issue. And we can't keep running like hamsters on a treadmill from one town to the next. It's time for a national answer to a national crisis of policing. Secondly, it is time to end the scapegoating and start dealing with solutions. I came day before yesterday and met with the mayor at City Hall. I don't know the mayor. We might have been at 3 or 4 occasions. But I know unfairness when I see it. To act as though this mayor, in this period of time, could undo 50 years of neglect and 50 years of you riding by bad housing and act like you didn't see it. Don't blame the last mayor for what the last 50 years of mayors and governors didn't do. And then for others to now get sanctimonious, talking about she finally called. I've been in and out of Baltimore a long time. We've been calling a long time for justice. We were just walking in here now, in a church. One reporter stick his mic in her face, I'm from Fox News, you gonna answer no, and start falling back like somebody pushed her. He'll be on tonight like we hit him or something. I tell you right now, just watch the circus tonight. Like somebody hit him, he starts falling back and boom, boom. Play acting. Times are too serious to play them games.
Yeah, that's right.
Because you try and incite a reaction and cover the reaction, the media needs to be responsible. Quit playing with matches in Baltimore.
Right.
We are hearing all kind of leaks. This is what ignites all kind of emotions. All that the community and the families asked for in Baltimore and people all over the country is the facts. And the reason people are marching, white and black, young and old, in peace, is for the facts. People say, well, does civil rights work? I'm telling you where it works and where it's not complete. The reason that the national civil rights groups are here is because if it was when there was disturbances 50 years ago in Watts, wasn't only an anniversary 50 years ago in Selma, 50 years ago this year, Watts exploded. And the head of the Urban League and the head of NAACP and Dr. King and others came in after to try and say the voices of the unheard must be heard, but we need to come out of this and have solutions. That is the spirit that we come in today. If you know history, then you ought to report it. Most folk don't know. We had people talk about Dr. King was alive, this wouldn't happen. It did happen when he was alive. And he had to go in when we did. You should do research. And we're going to do what he did, try to help work with some of the young people, Reverend West and others, that have gone out here. I see Reverend